We're back with top 16 of the Hong Kong Master Ball League, and on the left, we have Sheung Hayden, who is the 13th seed, and we have Chong, who is the 4th seed on the right. In order to qualify for the World Championships, it's guaranteed both players have to win the sets. So on Sheung Hayden's side, there is Maridon and Chenpao and on King Him's side, there is a Caliber Shadow Rider and a Grimmsnarl. The Rhino is going to activate the Hadron engine, and the Chenpao is it's going to activate its Sword of Rune. A thing to be noted here is that it is actually the spell tag item on the Caliber Shadow Rider on King Him's side of their field, and we see the first terrorization coming from Hayden. The Maridon becomes an electric type, which greatly increases its offense, and we see their Cataracts go for the Protects on turn 1, scouting to see what the Maridon is going to do as the Maridon's choice, and the Grimmstar goes for Light Screen, which makes King Him's team much more resistant to special hits, and we see the Electro Drift go into the Grimmstar. Will it KO? No, it does over half though. Oh, and Chenpao's Crunch lands into Protects, effectively doing nothing. We see Hayden going for the Electro Drift into the Calyrex because it's safe to do so, as this Calyrex had just protected the last turn. So here's the dilemma: will King Him switch out the Calyrex, or will they stay in? This turn is crucial, and the Calyrex does switch out. And Zamazenta comes in. I'm pretty sure Zamazenta does not appreciate an Terra Electro Drift, even behind screens. And the Tianpa goes for a Sucker Punch, but the Sucker Punch fails as the Zamazenta hasn't attacked yet. Her Grimmsnarl goes for Reflect, which makes the team much more resistant to physical attacks, and the Electro Drift goes to the Zamazenta. It's going to do a decent amount of damage, and it does over half to Zamazenta's HP. Zamazenta does not like that at all. No, Hayden is basically free to go for Electro Drift again and again. And as you can see right here, the Chenpao is going to switch into the Volcarona, and Volcarona is a Pokemon that has an amazing matchup into Zamazenta. This also shuts down the Sword of Rune ability, and Zamazenta is dealing a lot less damage with Body Press. So the Zamazenta does go for the Protects. Protect yourself from any incoming hits, and sure, Hayden does not fall for it and goes for the Electro Drift onto the Grimmsnarl. Hayden is so far ahead, and the momentum is on Hayden's side. He cannot withstand this level of offense, and now with Volcarona on the field, Volcarona can set up the Quiver Dance and become very, very strong against the Calyrex and the Zamazenta. So right now, Hayden can go for the Electro Drift into the Zamazenta, and it's going to deal a lot of damage. But they could also go for the Electro Drift onto the Calyrex, force it to protect, and Zamazenta doesn't have a great matchup into Volcarona, and it doesn't want to take an Electro Drift from the Maridon. As I said, the momentum is heavily in Hayden's favor, and we see King Him go for the Terrazization onto the Zamazenta, turning it into a grass type, which does resist the Electro Drifts, but it's still not going to save it from a potential Fiery Dance coming out. And we see the Electro Drifts go into Caliber Shadow Rider, and Caliber Shadow Rider hangs on a low yellow HP, and the Caliber Shadow Rider goes for the Astral Barrage. Notably, this is a spell attack Caliber Shadow Rider, so it's going to deal a decent amount of damage to both of Hayden's Pokemon. And Zamazenta goes for the Body Press, and Maridon goes down. However, Volcarona is so good into both of King Him's Pokemon, and it goes for Quiver Dance, which makes it faster than the Cataract Shadow Rider. Which means that this Volcarona is free to go for attacks the next turn. Not to mention, there's also Chen-Pao in the back with Sucker Punch that could hit Cataract Shadow Rider before it could move. And the Fiery Dance coming from the Volcarona is going to hit Zamazenta for big damage. And King Him is really on the back foot. If King Him wants a way to get back into this, the last Pokemon must make it count. Let's make it count. As Cataract switches out, and the last Pokemon is revealed to be Incineroar. Incineroar lowers the attack stat of Chen-Pao notably, and Volcarona, but it's not relevant on Volcarona. As the Zamazenta goes for protects. Zamazenta protects itself, and Sucker Punch fails as the Incineroar did not attack. And the Fiery Dance goes into the protects, and this... And now, the momentum is in King Him's favor, even though there is Volcarona on the field, because there is a... Because now Incineroar can go for Fake Outs. And one of Hayden's Pokemon is guaranteed to flinch. However, Hayden attacks with both Pokemon. Volcarona flinches, and Iso Crash misses into the Zamazenta as Heavy Slam goes into Chen-Pao and brings it down to Focus Sash. That miss was disastrous. That miss could potentially flinch the Zamazenta and rendered it unable to move, but the miss means that there's less chip damage for the next turn and the turn afterwards. So this really, really sucks for Hayden. Hayden decided to reveal their last Pokemon as Zamazenta, and we see Hayden actually opts to go for Iso Crash again, and for Fiery Dance onto the Zamazenta, as the Zamazenta goes for Protect. So now, King can safely knock out one of his Pokemon with the Incineroar. And now it really looks like King Him is in the driver's seat once again. As Volcarona faints to the Flare Blitz coming out from the Incineroar. The Incineroar gets slightly damaged by the Rico, and Hayden reveals his final Pokemon to King Him as Zamazenta. Zamazenta activates its Dauntless Shield, which increases defense and its body press damage output. And Hayden needs to get his read right. If Incineroar switches out to Cataract Shadow Rider, and Hayden goes for the body press, this could be very disastrous. Disastrous for him. If Hayden wants to get back into the game, he needs to make some reads and potentially get a few lucky flinches in order to win this. And Iso Crash does very little damage to Zamazenta due to the defense boost. And the Zamazenta actually knocks out the Incineroar. And the Zamazenta flinches! Which means that Hayden is back in the game. There's still one turn of Reflect left on King Him's side of the field. And right now, it comes down to, is Zamazenta, will Chen-Pao go for Sucker Punch? And is Hayden's Zamazenta faster than the opposing Zamazenta? And will Body Press knock it out? we see the Cataracts go for Protect. And you know what that means? That means that Sucker Punch whiffs into the Cataracts. And Hayden opting to go for a Behemoth Bash instead of Body Press. Body Press would have probably KO'd. And Zamazenta's Heavy Slam goes into the Tempal, which is enough to knock it out. Right now, Zamazenta is staring down an opposing Zamazenta, which could hit it for super effective damage, and a Cataract Shadow Rider that could hit it for big damage with a single target Spell Tag Astral Barrage. As you can see, Astral Barrage comes out and does over half to Zamazenta, and Zamazenta's Behemoth Bash knocks out her Cataracts, but will Body Press KO? That is the main question that everybody's asking. Zamazenta's Body Press picks up the KO, and King Him wins their first game of the series. We're now in game 2 of the best of 3, and you see the same lead from King Him, and Hayden actually just leading with the Miraidon and Shenpao again. So this Calyrex is being threatened by the Sucker Punch from the Shenpao, and Miraidon is so threatening as it is a Choice Scarf Miraidon. This is a Choice Scarf Miraidon which can move first for Calyrex Shadow Rider, and we see their Calyrex switch into Incineroar, and Incineroar, or Intimidate ability, decreases the attack of both Miraidon and Shenpao. We see the Terrassalization coming from Hayden, terrassalizing the Miraidon into the Electro type again, and this Electro Drift is going to hurt. It's going to hurt even through the light screen, as this is a Terra Electric Hadron Engine Miraidon in electric terrain. You see the Electro Drifts, and it does around 70% of Grimmsnar's HP, and Crunch goes through the Incineroar, and gets the defense boost, defense drop. We see Hayden thinking about the next turn, opting to go for the Electro Drift into the Grimmsnarl again. And switching the Shenpao into Zamazenta. Shenpao doesn't really do anything against Incineroar. And Hayden knows that he needs to preserve Shenpao in order to beat the Cataract Shadow Rider in the back. Zamazenta's Dauntless Shield raises its defense, as Fake Out goes into the Miraidon, which renders it unable to attack as Grimmsnarl sets up the Reflects. However, I do not believe that a Reflect could save a -1 defense Incineroar from the Body Press that's incoming. So right now is a question, will Hayden go for the double onto the Incineroar, saying, this is perfectly safe, and if your Cataract Shadow Rider switches into take the Body Press, then it's going to get hit by an Electro Drift. And opts to Behemoth Basher Grimmsnarl, and we see Incineroar switch out into the Cataract Shadow Rider, and the Cataract Shadow Rider is not going to appreciate taking this Electro Drift. Despite it being behind screens, it's still going to take a lot, and Grimmsnarl goes for a Thunder Wave, paralyzing the Zamazenta, and the Zamazenta being paralyzed is actually really could affect your game, as it has a 1 in 4 chance of being immobilized, and it's now slower than King Him's Zamazenta, which it outsped the previous game. Electro Drift goes into the Cataracts, which does around 70% of his HP, and Behemoth Bash takes out the Grimmsnarl, with Zamazenta breaking through the paralysis. We see Incineroar come in again, threatening another Fake Out. Another fake outs. But the game is swung in Hayden's favor right now. Right now, despite the Zamazenta being paralyzed, he can still go for wide guard, which goes for fake outs. And we see King Him actually opting to terrestrialize her Caliber Shadow Rider into the Ghost type to get some more damage. And yes, this is a spell tag, Terror Ghost Caliber Shadow Rider. This is going to hurt. We see Wide Guard come out from Zamazenta. And we see her fake out go into the Miraidon. King Him was really banking on the Zamazenta to be completely immobilized by paralysis. But Zamazenta loves Hayden so much that it breaks through and protects her team with Wide Guard. And now, Electro Drifts can go into the Caliber Shadow Rider, and Zamazenta is free to go for Body Press into the Incineroar. It's not looking good for King Him, but will King Him's last Pokemon potentially be game warping? We see our Cataracts go for the Protect, protecting itself from the Electro Drifts. Protecting itself from the Electro Drifts, which dealt 70% of its HP previously. And the Zamazenta couldn't move because it's fully paralyzed. And Incineroar goes for the Parting Shot, but it's a little too late, as this Parting Shot will not save Cataract's Shadow Rider from another Electro Drifts. But it does give King Him time to reposition. As King Him sends out Zamazenta, which is now faster than Hayden Zamazenta, as Hayden Zamazenta has its speed cut in half by paralysis. We see our Miraidon, we see electric terrain wear off, but Miraidon is still going to attack into the Caliber Shadow Rider. And we see the Body Press go into the... Actually, never. And you see the Cataract switch out, and going back into the Incineroar to reposition with another potential Parting Shot. We see Intimidates going into Zamazenta. This is relevant as Zamazenta's Behemoth Bash is now. Zamazenta's at -2 now, and Behemoth Bash is the only thing due to hit the Cataract Shadow Rider. And Electro Drift does so little damage now that Electric Terrain is gone. And Body Press does a really good chunk into Miraidon, as the Body Press from Hayden doesn't do that much. Doesn't do that much, actually. So right now, he can still win, but it's going to take a lot. And by a lot, I mean a lot to go right for him. Notably, a lot of full paralysis. We see Volcarona being revealed from Hayden's side, and Zamazenta couldn't move again because it's paralyzed. So this might be the opportunity that King Him needs to get back into this game. These are fake out and the Body Press come out, but Volcarona... Okay, Volcarona's Flame Body does not activate, which means that Zamazenta is free to go for another Body Press. Right now, we know that the Zamazenta is faster on King Him's side, is faster than Zamazenta on Hayden's side, and Incineroar is faster than paralyzed Zamazenta. But here's the thing, will Volcarona move first? We see Zamazenta use protecting itself from a potential Fiery Dance from Volcarona, and Volcarona does not fall for it and goes for a Quiver Dance. And increasing its special attack, speed, and special defense by 1 stage, and Body Press goes to the Incineroar. So right now, this Volcarona is going to be faster than the Caliber Shadow Rider and can hit it with a Fiery Dance. And it's also really good to do Zamazenta as well, due to it resisting both stabs of Zamazenta. And we see Hayden opting to Wide Guard on the Zamazenta. and fiery dancing the opposing Zamazenta. We see our Zamazenta use wide guard, which means that Caliber Shadow Rider actually attacks this turn. Volcaronas are fast moving on the field, it goes for Fiery Dance, and KOs the Zamazenta because the light screen just wore off. And we see the Calyrex go for Astro Barrage, and Hayden saying, "No, I'm not going to let you do that because your Wide Guard protects both of his Pokemon." And right now, Hayden only needs her Fiery Dance to connect in order to win this game and tie up their series. And we see King Hugh throwing in the towel and just choosing to concede the match. We're moving on to game 3. This game is what will qualify either one of these trainers for the World Championships. And as we can see, Hayden leading with Miraidon and Chien-Pao again, as King Him switches to Zamazenta and Grimstar, his game 1 lead. And we see Miraidon being the fastest thing on the field, followed by Chien-Pao and the Zamazenta. And then Zamazenta moves third and Grimstar still last. That's based on the ability. Hayden opting to switch out the Chien-Pao from a potential body press and switching into Volcarona, which has an overwhelmingly positive matchup, into Zamazenta, and getting the Electric Seed boost to boot. So this Zamazenta body press is not going to do that much damage, not to mention that there's a 30% chance that Zamazenta will get burnt if it makes contact of it. And we see Hayden's Miraidon terrestrialize into the electric type once again. Miraidon has been Hayden's terrestrialization for all 3 games of the series. And we see King Him opting to terrestrialize to Zamazenta to grass type in order to resist a potential electro drift. But we see Grimstar wait for the light screen, but Hayden doesn't fall for it and goes for the Volt Switch onto the Grimmsnarl, which brings it down to half HP. And we see Miraidon go back to Hayden's side of the field. As Hayden opts to bring in Zamazenta. Zamazenta's gets defense increased by Dawn's shield, and the opposing Zamazenta's heavy slam does a little to Volcarona, but luckily it does not get a burn. Now, this game could still go either way, but right now I would say that Hayden is in the driver's seat. We see Grimstar go for Reflects. And the Zamazenta on Hayden's side moves first and goes for the Behemoth Bash, which knocks out the Grimstar due to even behind Reflects, due to it being super effective. And we see the opposing Zamazenta move next with the Body Press, doing over half to Hayden Zamazenta. And we see Volcarona go for the Quiver Dance, which means that it's now faster than every single one of King Him's Pokemon. Now, King Him sends out Cataract Shadow Rider, and both Pokemon actually do kind of struggle into Volcarona. Volcarona can Quiver Dance in order to patch its special defense, and Zamazenta goes to Protect. And with the Electric Seed and Flame Body, and also walling both of Zamazenta's stabs, Volcarona is a very dangerous pick, especially for Zamazenta and Shadow Rider compositions like this. Fiery Dance goes into the Protect for the opposing Zamazenta, and Calyrex goes for Shadow Ball, not falling for the Wide Guard, and Zamazenta faints. And we see the Calyrex get a Grenade boost, which, however, there is a choice from Rhydon and a Chien-Pao in the back for for Hayden. So this Calyrex is really threatened right now. So is his Zamazenta. Both of Hayden's Pokemon can survive a hit due to Chenpao holding the Focus Sash item. And both of King Heem's Pokemon are being threatened by Volcarona. We see Zamazenta switch out into Incineroar, and King Heem revealing that Incineroar is their last Pokemon. As Incineroar Intimidates drops the attack of both Chenpao and Volcarona. Volcarona goes for Fiery Dance, and the Calyrex does go for the Protect. Chenpao goes for Crunch into the Shadow Rider, expecting a switch on the other side to get some, hopefully get some consistent damage. Right now, this Incineroar is threatening Fake Out, but Hayden has a really safe play in just double protecting, as this Calyrex Shadow Rider is Astral Barrage, Psychic, Shadow Ball, and Protects. And there's still a Choice Scarf Rhydon in the back. For Hayden, in order to clean up the game. We see Chenpao go for the Protects. And Incineroar's Fake Out goes into the Chenpao. Hayden playing aggressive, pushing the momentum further in his favor, and going for the Fiery Dance onto the Calyrex Shadow Rider, which crits behind screens and knocks out the Calyrex Shadow Rider in one hit. Now, the momentum is heavily swung into Hayden's favor, as Volcarona can KO the Terra Grass Zamazenta with Fiery Dance, and Incineroar can't really do much. To Volcarona. And not to mention that Choice Scarf Terra Electric Miraidon is in her back for Hayden, so Hayden is going. And this Zamazenta has just lost its defense boost, which means that Ice Crash might deal some decent damage into the Zamazenta as well. Oh, we see the Volcarona going for the Protect, Hayden going for the Read, and Zamazenta also goes for Protect. And Champom's Ice Crash does not connect as Zamazenta protects itself. What will Incineroar do? It'll Flare Blitz, but not into the Chenpao slot, into the Volcarona that has protected itself. So right now, Hayden has a really safe play of doubling into the Zamazenta. And not to mention that there is a chance for Zamazenta to flinch from the Ice Crash. Zamazenta attempts to double protect, but it fails! As Volcarona's Fiery Dance connects into her Zamazenta, and does over half behind Light Screen, and Ice Crash connects into Zamazenta and KOs it. This is a tall task for Incineroar, as Incineroar has to 1v3 Terra Electric Miraidon. Volcarona with +1 defense, and a Chenpao with max HP and Focus Sash. Hayden's got this game locked up as King Heem throws in the towel and forfeits.